In this video, we are going to look at clean architecture and onion architecture, two closely related patterns that solve the same fundamental problem. How do you stop your business logic from becoming tangled up with databases, frameworks, and user interfaces? By the end, you will understand the structure, the rules, and exactly when to reach for this approach. Picture a code base that started small. The team wrote business rules right next to database queries, and the web framework's objects leaked into every layer. Now, years later, switching the database means touching hundreds of files of business logic. Writing a unit test requires a live database connection. This is the dependency tangle, and it is the exact pain that clean and onion architecture exists to cure. An actual onion is the perfect mental model here. The innermost part is the most essential. It is what the onion really is. The outer layers are protective wrapping. In software terms, your domain model, your core business rules, sits at the center and knows nothing about databases or HTTP. The outer rings handle those noisy details, and they can be swapped or replaced without disturbing the heart. Here is the structure rendered as concentric rings flattened into a diagram. At the very center sits the domain model, your entities, your core business rules, and the abstract interfaces your application needs. Surrounding it is the application services ring, which orchestrates use cases. On the outside lie the UI, web controllers, and infrastructure adapters like database implementations. Every arrow points inward. Outer rings depend on inner rings, never the reverse. Follow a single request through the rings. An HTTP call arrives at a web controller on the outer edge. The controller translates it and calls an application service, a use case, one ring inward. The application service runs domain logic and then asks for data through a repository interface. Notice that interface is defined inside the domain ring. An infrastructure adapter on the outer ring implements it and actually queries the database. The result travels back out the same path. The domain never knew a database existed. Clean and onion architecture shine when your domain is rich and long-lived, when business rules evolve independently of infrastructure, or when you need to test core logic in complete isolation. They are a poor fit for simple applications, where most operations are just reading and writing records, because the extra layers of interfaces and adapters add real cost in code volume and in direction, without giving you meaningful protection in return. The most practical first step is to start inward, not outward. Resist the urge to set up your database or web framework first. Model your domain, the entities and rules, before writing a single database query. Then define abstract interfaces for everything the domain needs, like data storage or email. Infrastructure classes implement those interfaces. This is dependency inversion in action. The outer ring depends on the inner ring's abstractions, never the other way around. To summarize, clean and onion architecture both place your domain model at the center and enforce a strict rule. Source code dependencies only ever point inward. Outer rings hold the noisy details of frameworks and databases, and those details implement interfaces defined by the domain. The payoff is a code that is genuinely independent, easy to test, and resilient to infrastructure change, provided your domain is complex enough to justify the structure.